Another heartbreaking image coming out of the U.S.-Mexico border. Mexican officials finding a 2-year-old boy abandoned by the side of the road, shirtless and surrounded by trash. This comes amid a growing push for Republicans to mount their own response as the Biden administration refuses to take necessary action. About 2 months ago, I visited the border to witness the crisis firsthand. We were led by Vice President of the National Border Patrol Council, Chris Cabrera. We saw hundreds of migrant crossings in the time we were there. Chris says the number of people crossing has only escalated. He joins us now with an update on what's happening on the ground. Chris, good to see you again.
Likewise, good to see you.
So I was with you, and again, thank you for giving us that up close and personal view of what's happening down in the McAllen area and the Rio Grande sector of the border. But what are you seeing over the last few months? I mean, what is the situation since I was down there with you?
You know, when you all came last time, it was the majority of it was people that were turning themselves in. We had some people that were trying to get away, but the vast majority was turning themselves into one particular area. And now those areas have spread out considerably, and we're having a lot of people that are trying to get away. And that's not just delegated to the hours of darkness where they can conceal themselves easier. We're having multiple smuggling attempts in broad daylight, 2 or 3 vehicles pulling up, 15, 20, 30 people jumping in these vehicles and taking off at a high rate of speed in full view of the agents because they know the agents are occupied and they physically can't get over there since they're already dealing with some people that have turned themselves in.
What are expectations for the numbers? I mean, I know, there are crazy numbers that have been coming out. I mean, record-setting numbers in recent months. But from May to June, for example, in your sector, are the numbers still at that level? Or are they going up? Are they going down?
You know, they seem to be, at least based on the shifts that I'm working, it seems to be we're getting busier on our shifts. And one thing we're starting to see a little more is more and more unaccompanied children now. I don't know if that's going to kind of balance out throughout the Border Patrol, but in our area, we seem to be seeing more and more unaccompanied children. Those numbers seem to increase on a daily basis.
What is it right now that you're hearing? Is there any difference in the stories that the migrants that are crossing, the ones particularly that are surrendering themselves? I mean, are they're all of the belief that they're going to be able to stay in the country, essentially? I mean, what's driving this continuing surge as you're seeing it?
Yeah, and what it is just the rhetoric. Yeah, it's the policies that are in place. If we're allowing people to stay, we did away with not all, but most of the Remain in Mexico policy. So these people know that they come in, they say a couple of key words, and we're going to let them stay. We're going to have to let them stay. And if they do away with Title 42, which is keeping the folks we are sending back, that's going to keep them from getting sent back, and that's just going to compound our problems like.
Do we have some sense as to what, even if it's a rough percentage, what percentage of those who are apprehended at the border right now that are entering illegally are in fact released into the U.S. interior versus how many are turned back? Do we have some sense of that?
Yeah, I've heard the administration say it's something like 40% are getting released, 60% returned. Based on what I've seen here and the numbers I've seen here, I think that number is reversed, and we're letting the vast majority go. And it's the small minority that is getting sent back to Mexico.
So 6 months after leaving office, Trump visited the border, and here's the statement. He was down there today. The statement that he put out, and we can show everybody. He says, heading to the southern border, which has never in our country's long history been worse. We have the most successful border policy in American history, and now we have by far the least successful policy. People are coming in by the millions. They're destroying our country. See you soon. Chris, just in terms of some of the statements of fact here, I mean, things like they're coming in by the millions. I mean, is it possible that we're going to see this year, based on the numbers already, over 1 million illegal crossings into this country all along the southern border? If you add it all up, do you think that's realistic?
You know, I think with the numbers we've seen so far and the fact that number keeps rising, I think it's very possible that that will actually break that mark. And the other number I think that doesn't get added into that is the amount of gotaways, the amount of people that get past us, that whether we know they're getting past us or not, because there's nobody available to apprehend them. And if you add that number in, that's just easy money. They're way past 1 million at that point.
I mean, give us some sense of, on a monthly basis, just in the Rio Grande sector, how many gotaways, which just means, right, somebody who made it free and clear into the U.S., ran across the border, and they're now doing whatever they're doing. What kind of estimates do we have for what that looks like just in your sector?
I think it depends on the number, who's giving you that number. If you ask the actual agency, the agency is going to say that number is maybe a 10, 15, 20% mark. If you ask an agent that works out there in the field, we're looking at maybe 45, 50% traditionally that gets away from us. So I think that's kind of the issue we're looking at. What's the official number going to be, and what actually happens down there. And you've seen the areas we work and check the foot sign, and you can tell that big groups have gotten through. It just seems to get downplayed somewhere along the way.
What is the situation of the holding facilities, by the way? When I was down there, you showed me the Donna facility. It looked like there was going to be some substantial expansion of what was already a vast facility in the first place. Are they still very full in and around McAllen? Are there new facilities that have been opened up? What's the situation there?
Our what they call the tent city, that was there. It was packed when you guys came. And what they did is HHS built some more tent facilities in the same area, in the same compound, and just moved them from one tent to another. So if you go into the Border Patrol facility, it doesn't look as bad because they're moving them out, but they're not really anywhere. They're not putting them anywhere but just another tent. They're just moving from one tent to the other, or they're moving into shelters across the country. So I think little by little we're starting to run tight on space again. I don't think we're going to be able to keep this whack-a-mole game going where we're just moving people around and trying to call it out when it's not.
And Chris, Vice President Kamala Harris visited El Paso and that border sector just last Friday. Is it the case that that's nowhere near as challenged as a security matter as McAllen, where you are? I mean, it seemed interesting to people. Why El Paso?
Yeah, I think, with all due respect to the agents out in El Paso, and they work really hard and they're good at what they do. They're just not seeing the traffic that we're seeing out here. Not to mention Laredo, the Big Bend area. They out of all the Texas sectors, they're probably the slowest out of all the Texas sectors. So I don't think they're anywhere near anything what they see in weeks, we see in days. And it's a shame that's where she chose to go and make her appearance. I don't know why she did it, but it's not helping us down here. It's not bringing any attention to what's going on. And I think it's very difficult for to say that, hey, we're going to fix this when you won't even come take a look at it.
Has there been any change from the federal government on down that's affected the work that frontline agents for Border Patrol are doing? Has there been any additional support? Have they? I mean, I'm just going to, from the federal government side of this, the executive branch side, from Biden and Harris on down, what are they doing to help Border Patrol?
Nothing. We haven't seen any. Maybe they opened up some other tents to house migrants somewhere else, but they haven't done anything to help us on a daily basis. And the rhetoric and the policies that they're either canceling from the last administration or putting in place from the new administration are actually working against us, and they're not helping us one bit.